What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you checking in. All right, we're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball today, and I want to highlight some of the battles that I'm going to be focused on going through training camp and going through the preseason. Now, the reports coming out of training camp is that the defense is balling. The defense is doing their thing, but there are some positions that I'm going to be really focused on and watching because I think depending on how these positions play out and how the players that play in those positions can really be the difference between us being a top 10 defense and a top 5 defense. And so I want to touch on those, the battles that I'm going to be paying attention to, and kind of get your opinion on that. So, uh, before we get into it, if you can, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. My next giveaway is at 4,000 subscribers. And just so you know, once you're subscribed, you're automatically included in my next giveaway and all my future giveaways moving forward, as long as you remain a subscriber. And so I appreciate all you guys. This is just my way of saying thank you and giving back. But one question before we get into it, let me know, who do you think is going to have more sacks, Tyree Wilson or Christian Wilkins? Let me know in the comment section below, who do you think is going to end this season with more sacks between those two, between Tyree Wilson and Christian Wilkins? Let me know in the comment section down below. So let's jump into it. I got the depth chart up. Let's go ahead and take a look at, again, the battles that I'm excited about, the battles that I'm going to be watching. And I think first and foremost, I'm going to be watching Tyree Wilson. I want to see how Tyree Wilson battles, whether he is slotted on the interior or on the edge. You know, Malcolm Kuntz is a guy that's going to be looking for an extension this season, or potentially going into the off season. He might look for a big contract, and so I want to see, how does Tyree Wilson fit in with this defense. I think he's going to start off playing on the interior, because that's where he ended strong last season. But I also think that Patrick Graham, based on what he's been saying in some of the press conferences, that he is going to play some edge as well. And so I kind of want to see how Tyree Wilson continues to develop on the edge. I think he can be one hell of an interior defensive lineman. You know, yes, he may not be as heavy as some of the better ones, but he's got just the brute strength. He's got the length and the athleticism to absolutely dominate on the inside. But I have big question marks on whether or not he can capitalize and be a good edge rusher, at least good enough to justify his 7th overall pick of the draft. And so I'm going to continue to watch Tyree Wilson and kind of see how he develops on the edge and where he's going to help this defense. And so that's definitely one big position, or one player, that I'm going to be watching after as preseason and training camp goes on. And so next up is the linebacker position. We got Divine Diablo. Divine Diablo, I think, has to really prove that he can be that next big linebacker sitting next to Robert Spillane. And in order for our defense to really capitalize and get to that top 5 ranking, I think that second linebacker position has to be pivotal, has to step up and really contribute this season. You know, Divine Diablo has had a lot of injury history. You know, it's kept him out of games. You got to get a flow. You got to have consistency in order to really capitalize on what you can bring to the game. And I think that's what's happened with Divine Diablo. When he does play, he does well. You know, I like his play, and I like his potential when he is on the field, but unfortunately, he sustains a lot of injuries. And now the battles that I'm going to see, you got Luke Masterson. You know, we ran a lot of 4-2-5. So there's a lot of times where only 2 linebackers are going to be on the field. Obviously, Robert Spillane's going to be one of them. But between Divine Diablo and Luke Masterson, it's going to be really interesting to see who gets that second position. But then you got Tommy Eichenberg. Tommy Eichenberg is sitting right there. He was our 5th rounder. Again, he's a 5th rounder. You know, you're not going to expect too much out of him, at least a year 1 impact. You're not going to expect too much of a year 1 impact. But Tommy Eichenberg, I think, can put enough pressure on these guys to really step up their game. And that's what I think Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco haven't given enough credit for during this offseason, is they've created a lot of competition. There's a ton of competition on the field. And then you got a guy like Amari Gainer. Now, Amari Gainer, I don't see him actually on, if I'm missing it, I don't see him on this list. I think they still need to update the depth chart a little bit. But Amari Gainer, I think, is also a guy that can kind of create some competition. You know, he was a extremely good inside linebacker at Florida State, and then he transferred over to North Carolina, where they slotted him at an edge rusher, and then he just kind of got thrown into the rotation, unfortunately. But when he was at Florida State, he was really showing to be a good inside linebacker, and so by moving Amari Gainer to the linebacker position with the Raiders, I think that's another player that can help one capitalize. And he's an athletic freak. If you just watch his game at Florida State as well as the playing time that he did get at North Carolina, he's a stud. He's an absolute athlete. And so where he could potentially help make this 53-man roster, where he can help himself, is also on special teams, on kickoff, kick return, those type of things, because I think the return game, or the kickoff and kick return game, is going to be huge this year with the new kickoff rules. And so where he can help and where he can possibly make his mark is also on special teams. And so that's what I want to see. Divine Diablo is going to have to battle. He's got enough guys, whether it be Tommy Eichenberg, Luke Masterson, and possibly, again, I'm just high on him, as Amari Gainer. There might be enough kind of chipping away at him behind to really force him to step up his game. And so that's another position battle that I'm definitely looking forward to watching. And then you got the cornerback position. Just trying to figure out who's going to be that second corner. I think there's a lot of positive things coming out of camp for Jacorian Bennett. A lot of guys are high on him. You got Nate Hobbs that just came to the podium just a couple days ago and basically said, this guy is going to help us. He basically defended Jacorian Bennett and actually kind of lashed out at the media a little bit and saying, you guys need to kind of tone it down on the remarks that you're kind of putting out there with Jacorian Bennett. I think he felt that they were kind of putting a little cloud on his name a little bit. And so he came to the defense of his teammate, which I like to see. And so I think Jacorian Bennett is definitely battling, but you cannot take away the fact that we picked up DeCamarion Richardson, DC Richardson. We picked him up in the draft. I believe he was our 4th round pick. We picked up MJ Devonshire. I think MJ Devonshire has a really good chance at making this 53-man roster and battling for that starting position. And then there's a lot of guys out there that are high on one of our undrafted free agent corners, which is Woo Governor. I'm more higher on MJ Devonshire. I think he has a better chance, not only because I think he can play the position, but also he can help in the return game. But you also kind of got to look at Tom Telesco drafted him, and Tom Telesco is going to want his guys to work out. And so I think that's why someone like DC Richardson, also MJ Devonshire, I think they are going to make this 53-man roster. So Tom Telesco can kind of prove that he drafted well, or his draft guys are at least making the 53-man roster. Whether or not you agree with it, you just got to kind of see it from the eyes of the GM. And so that's why I do think that those two guys, the guys that we drafted, do have a good shot. But I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see it battle out. You got Brandon Faison, a veteran that's still there. But again, I think he's actually been put on the injury list. And so he hasn't been participating too much in practice, which that's been his MO. Brandon Faison was sitting on the IR for a long time last year. And so I don't know how reliable he can be. So watching Jacorian Bennett, DC Richardson, MJ Devonshire, watching these guys really battle it out for that second corner position, I think it's going to be huge. Because again, just like that second linebacker position, that second corner position is going to, in my opinion, you can determine, are we a top 10 defense or a top 5 defense? Because Jack Jones can lock his guy down. But if we face some of these teams that have a good receiver core, a great second receiver, and now they're going up against our second corner and he's eating up our second corner, that's really going to hurt us on being that top 5 defense. And so the second linebacker and that second corner, I think, is going to be a huge determination on how well this defense finishes out and continues through the season. So this is just kind of my thoughts and what I'm looking out for as we go into training camp and preseason. So I appreciate you guys. Again, let me know who on the defensive side, what's the biggest battles you're looking forward to? What battles are you looking forward to watch this training camp and preseason? Let me know in the comment section down below. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Again, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. Next giveaways at 4,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button if you want to be included. And I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm out.